Okay. So before that, let me tell you that if you want to upgrade your skills, follow in this fashion. First, you learn Docker. That after that, how to work with the container. After that, you learn Docker image creation using Dockerfile. After that, once you create an image, you share an image using Docker Hub or some different private registry also. Docker Hub is a public one. There are so many private organization specific registry also you will have it for each company. They have their own registry, private one. And then after that, you learn Docker Compose. This I'm teaching you right now. And once you learn the Compose, then you need to go to the Kubernetes. Okay, and then your the box will open. What box will open? If you think the learning is learning is closed, no, it just started. So the moment you learn Kubernetes, then you have to learn 10 different tools, and that is where the production world will get started. Tens of tools you have to learn around the Kubernetes, more than that, to manage the productions. More than that, 20, 30 tools actually. So this is the flow you should follow if you want to migrate to the new generation of software engineering. So here I'm teaching you Docker Compose. What is the Docker Compose? So guys, let me put it up in this way. First, let's talk about the problem. Problem with Docker. See, you are a developers. What typically you do? So first you write a Docker file, right? After that you write a Docker file. After that you build that image. There's a command Docker build. Last session I ran it. Am I recording this session? Yeah. So you build the image. After that, what we do? You run the Docker container. I'm saying being a developer, you are a developer or testing people, and you do all this stuff. You create a Docker file, you build the image, run the image. While running, you pass many parameters. While running, you pass many parameters. Let me show you. There's hundreds of parameters are there. Docker help run, but some of the parameters which is important for you, which I'm talking about. See here, a lot of parameters you have to learn actually. So CPU can set, DNS entry you can set, environment you can set, health check you can set, you can memory you can set for the containers. Many things you can set it up. Users you can set it up, volumes you can set it up, -v, -u, network you can set. So many options are there. But you can run most probably with -p port mapping, -v, -e environment, v for volumes mapping, and -net network. These are the mostly used actually. So you will run with this. Once you run, you will see the containers, you will see application is behaving correctly or not. After that, what you'll do? You will stop it and then you will remove it. So this is your life cycle you will do every time when you work with the Docker. Agree with me, all of you?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Right.
Yeah, I agree.
But guys, you know what? You will get frustrated. Why? I'll tell you. Understand this. In the world of microservices, you don't have a one service. I repeat, you have a too many services. So you have a service 1, service 2, service 3, service 4, and service 5. I mean, in order to check, just let's keep it only 4 service. In real time, you have hundreds of service actually, just for the discussion sake. So what you will do? You will do all this thing, right? You will do all this thing. Here, see, you will do all those things. So let's say you have only 4 services, microservices. So you know what? You will create one command, one Docker file, one Docker file, one Docker file, one Docker file. Then you build it, one command, two command, three command, four command. Run with the different parameter, one command, two command, three command, four command. Then you will stop it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then remove 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, don't you think you get how many commands you run in order to check your software? 1, 2, 3, 4 is to 5, 20 commands. And this you have to do 20 commands, you have to run it 20 times in a day. Don't you think you get frustrated? So
Yeah, we
you
got.
will spend more time on the testing and running the infrastructure rather than coding, because you are supposed to spend more time on the coding, right, rather than running. So what is the fix for it? So yeah, Docker is good. One or two containers you are working, that's good. But if you have a number of containers which is increased, then you start feeling irritation as a developer. So what is the solution? So guys, solution is Docker compose. That means whatever the problem we discuss, solution Docker compose. What is a Docker compose? So Docker compose is a tool, okay, which you have to install it. I'll install it. Don't worry about that. And this tool will read one file which is called docker-compose.yaml file. I will say, okay, in this YAML file, what do you have? In the YAML file, you have the services. What services? App services, TV services, X services, Y services. The services, the same thing, one, two, three, four. And these services, app services, database services, X services, Y services. And here what you have, specification, which image you want to build, which you want to run a container, with what? So you want to run containers. With some parameters you want to pass it, put what, volumes, environment, and network. You specify everything in one file. Same goes with this one. Same goes with this one. Same goes with this one. So you specify all this thing. Build. I missed it actually. Build here. You specify everything in one file, and magic will start now. What do you want? You want to build all the images instead of running 20 commands. You want to run one command: Docker compose build. It will build all the images. Simple. Docker compose up. It will build and start all the images. Container down. Destroy everything. So these are the few popular commands which you have it, but there's so few more commands like a Docker compose ps, which will give you all the container status. Docker compose logs, same thing, which is similar to Docker's, but it will do for every services which you have mentioned in the Docker compose. So now instead of running 20 commands which you discussed just now, you run one command and everything is done. And just imagine here you have only 4 services. If you have 20 services, your life is so easy. So it will be easy. Are you understanding now?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, guys, here, now let's say in order to run application, you need a database, and that has to be running up and running. So what we do in this case? So I will say, hey guys, my app is depends on DB service. Simple. That means what will happen before running the application? DB service will run, which can be MySQL or PostgreSQL or NSQL, whatever it is, and then DB will run. Now this depends on will do one more thing, and that is the most important one. Many people get stuck, and when I got stuck for a long time, actually a few years before. See here, understand the theoretic part. Okay, so there is one container here, and there is one container here, and there is a one container here, and this is the application container, and this is the database container. Now in applications, what five things you required so this application can connect to the database? What is required? Tell me. Application can connect to database. What is the important information you need it?
The port number and all those details where it is up and
See, you
running.
need a five information. You need a host IP address of the database server. You need a username. You need a password.
Password.
You need a database name, and you need a port number. Agree with me or not? All of you.
Yes.
Let's say you are a PHP
Yes.
developer, then I mean a Laravel developer. So you need all this information in the env file for your Laravel. If you're a Ruby on Rails developer, you need all this information in your config file. Correct now, all of you?
Yes, sir. Correct.
So now how do you configure it? So remember that containers will have their certain IP address, host name, username, password, and all blah blah blah. So how do we configure it? So in a Docker is a little different actually. What is different? So you will configure that in the configuration file anyways, but you know what? Docker, it also read this information from the environment. Yes, I repeat, this is a your configuration file, and this will read from the environment of the same container. Yes, username, password, database name, port number, and host name. It has to be set in the environment of this app container. So how it will be set? This line, the one which you do, what will happen? First, it will build this container and grab all this information from this and set in this environment, and applications will read from that environment, their own environment. Don't no need to manually specify. No, here it can set. Okay, so this is something which you have to understand. So more or less we understand what is Docker Compose. Docker Compose is a tool which you read the Docker Compose.yaml file, which has a service specification for each services and build specifications and everything. And these are the commands. That's all. So now let me show you the demo for this. So I'm going to install the Docker Compose. Guys, if you want to install anything, let's say Docker Compose. There's some noise coming from someone again. Rakesh, can you mute yourself again? It's repeating the issue. Okay, so here this is the command. So what should I do? So you have to install Docker Compose. So Docker Compose install and put the DevOps tool. You will find my tutorial. By the way, that's not a great thing, so you can find out. See here. So these are the commands. You can run it. Okay. So now this is the only thing is little outdated. You see the version is outdated. So you can go to the Docker Compose download. I'm just using the latest one for the demo. Here it is. So many ways to install it. I'll just quickly install it. So quickly, this is the command which will download the compose file in my system. So Docker Compose is not there in my system, so it will download under the user local bin. Okay, and set the permission somewhere. Where is that? Soft link. That's okay. And set the permission. Where is that permission? Do you have permission? Chmod. Okay, so that is done. I just want to check what is the permission for this file, because permission is required only if you is not set. It's not there. So command is missing. So no problem. I will add it. Chmod 755 and guys done. So installation is done. Sorry, done. Okay, can we validate now compose install or not? So compose installed. -h. What is this? It's not behaving correctly. Oh, hold on a second. Some problem in this. I have to rerun one more time. Uh, chmod 55 enter, and just want to check if it's there or not. Now it's restored. I don't know what happened last time. Now it's okay. So now create a soft link if you really want it in the user bin. That's okay. Or this already exists. So good to go. Okay, so Docker Compose installed. Let me take the version -v 2.26. That's the latest one. Every month we have a new release. Okay, so now what we need actually, guys. So installation is done. Now you want to know the commands. So here these are the commands you have to work on it. So some of the popular command which you guys said, right? Let's say build. If you want to build all the images, you want to start build and start everything, create and start container up. Then again down must be there somewhere. D. Where is this? Up, down. Do you see? Here it is. You want to remove all the containers? Here it is. You want to run all the services again? Here it is. You want to see the top running processes? Same Docker command is something similar. Stats, logs, somewhere here. If you know Docker, you will find easily this one. Logs. Here it is. You want to kill? Here it is. You want to see all the images? Here it is. So it's like a saving commands for all of you to do that. Now the question is, where is a Docker compose actually? So let me create one directory. This is mkdir compose and cd compose. Now here in this I'm going to have my YAML file. Again I'm repeating, it's YAML file. What it has? Services 1, 2, and each services their specifications. So let me show you that one example. Docker compose example and DevOps tool. Enter. And I have a lots of example which you can use it for the learning purpose. And here you have so many programs, so one program is needed more than sufficient. Okay, so look at this here, guys. This is the one. I'll explain you the code. This is the YAML file. Okay, now what do you have? How many services you have? So if you look at this, there's a services, one service WordPress, one database. So WordPress, remember, is a PHP based application, so you require PHP and Apache and WordPress. That means in this service you have a PHP plus Apache plus WordPress applications, and this service is a MySQL required for this. So here you have one service WordPress, second service DB. Now you know that WordPress depends on the DB, so you see that this line depends on DB, correct? Now in order to run this WordPress on access it outside, you have to expose the port hyphen p if you remember Docker. But here it's hard coded to the local host, which in my case I don't want. So I'll remove this one. That means this is the container port. This is where I want to expose it. Let me see that Apache, I mean 80 port is running or not. So I don't remember though. So PS hyphen not running. Then not running. Good. Let me see if any container is running 80 port. No, I'm not running 80 port right now. Okay, so here this I'm running. This is the internal port of the container, and this is the one. So remember that here building is not happening. You are using the one of the WordPress latest image from the Docker Hub. Okay, this is the comment. You can ignore it. Now here, what will happen? Understand this. Here volumes will happen. So volumes means in the current directory, this directory will be created, and the whatever the content you have under this under the container var www.html will be mapped to this one volume mapping. Same volume mapping will be done here for this one also. Volume mapping will be done here. This is the commented by the way. So remove this. Now you know what? Look at this here. I told you. Remember that. I told you. Remember that app container of app read that their own environment for all the database. So see that here they are reading the environment. So you're setting up the environment here. You're hard coding the environment basically. You are setting the environment this one dv host. Dv host means this is a dv, this is a dv matching. That means automatically IP address will be updated. WordPress name, database name WordPress, username, password. This is the hard coding stuff. It has happened. Now how do you know that WordPress? Here you look at this. Your database, you are setting up the WordPress here, database name and username and password. And now this has to run in the different network. So there's a default network which is called bridge. So you're running the WordPress network. So here you are creating the WordPress network here, and you're using the same network here and same network here. So that means you are running the WordPress. You can ignore it, by default it will run in the bridge mode, bridge network, default network. Now you see that this is a database and which you are running MySQL latest. Again, I'll remove this localhost because I'm outside, right, in the VM which is on AWS. So 3306, and same thing, volume mapping, environment set, and so on. Now I know that MySQL latest has some problem, so I want to use the little bit outdated one. So 5.5 I'll use it, because you know what, latest has some compatibility issues with WordPress. It's not issues with the MySQL, it's issues with the WordPress actually. The WordPress do not support the latest version of MySQL. Remove it. Okay, done. So here you have only two services, one service, two services. This YAML file you have to write it and get it done. Let me run this one now. So guys, look at my screen, all of you. One command and do the wonder. So vi docker hyphen compose.yaml, enter, paste it. Now building image is not there, so directly I'll run up. So docker hyphen compose up hyphen d. I don't want to lose the console, so hyphen d detach mode. See, everything will be done by compose on behalf of you. Just imagine I have a two services here, but imagine you have a 20 services. How much time it will be saved? Are you able to visualize this compose? Compose is a developer tool for automations, and you see that everything is done. You want to see the status? See, WordPress is running, DB is running. WordPress you can access on the AD port of the IP address, which is exposures. These are the two containers you have. You can run the Docker command also, by the way, to check that. See here, this one and this one. Look at this. Now you want to access this container, I mean WordPress. So what is IP address? I need to get that IP address. So IP address. And guys, this is your WordPress website running with the Docker container. See. Now next, feed the entry, whatever it is, and install WordPress. You have to feed all this entry. Got it? So this could be your applications instead of WordPress. I just use the example WordPress, but this can be your applications. These applications can be anything. For example, you're running XAMPP applications. You're running Tomcat applications. You're running Java World Tomcat, PHP World XAMPP. What else? Laravel. What else? What else? So guys, are you getting it? What I'm trying to say? Ruby on Rails. Django, Python application, Flask. Are you able to understand this?
Yes.
Yes.
So these are the handy commands, you have to use it. So I just use it up, now down, simply stop again, simple. You want to stop it, stop it. You want to start it, start it. Life is so simple. Now with this container world, using Docker Compose, start it. You want to see the logs? You want to see the logs? Here it is the logs. Both the container, DB container and WordPress container. Troubleshoot. What else you want? So this is something which you have to do. Now, next thing is, I said one thing which is very clear, reading the environment variables. So this application is reading their own environment variable. That's the reason here you see we have hard coded this one. Because why we hard coded this one? Because the application which is WordPress is reading from their own environment variable. Can we check this? Let's check this. So now let's look at this here. Docker PS, Docker, Docker exec, and WordPress container. I'm showing the environment variable env from outside. See that? Look at this. Post a DB, WordPress, root, password, and few more information is set here, default, and so on, which is required for running your applications. So that means WordPress is reading their own environment variable to get the information. No hard coding. You can pass this information. Though you can hard code also, by the way, in the config file of WordPress, you can hard code also. But here is dynamic way you can set it up during the runtime. If someone want to set, okay, DB is not the database, DB1 is the one, you can change it. Don't need to change the code. Just change the runtime environment. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yes, sir.
So now you'll say, Rajesh, how can I, let's say there's a one Laravel application, there's one env file, how can we read from environment? You know that you should not supposed to ask certain questions. So for example, let me say, uh, example of laravel.env where variables values read from environment. Simple. You have used it, you have seen it. All this thing you have done it. See here. Look at this. This is the answer for your question. Got it? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, we get
Yes,
it.
sir. Yeah.
This is the answer. In the environment file, because certain applications, you can read from environment. This is the way to read the environment. Instead of hard coding, you can use like this. Read from environment from here to here. This will mean your environment. This will be the configurations file set and so on. So guys, you have to work on this. So now build. Now I want to show you the one more image, one more example where you have a build option. So what you can do. So there's one more parameter is needed, build. Let me show you. Write a Docker compose file where we are running WordPress, MySQL, and one more image, one more app, but that app must be built using Dockerfile. And this is example code I'm showing you. Okay. So now look at this. There are three services will come. Look at this. One service is WordPress, which I showed you. Another service is DB, which I showed you. This is the third one. And the change only you. This is additional code. Rest of the things you know that. So here you will put the Docker file, the name of the file, and here you will put the context location. If it is a dot or the path, whatever it is. So that means if you now compose build, the build will happen and then start, stop, or up and down on all this thing. So guys, did you understand that how Docker Compose will save your life working with the microservices? So many images, so many building the so many images, running the so many containers, linking the container, stopping the container, removing the container, and but only one command instead of 20 commands. Did you understand that, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, I got it, sir.
But you know what? There are so many other features are also there recently got added. You should explore it, but that's not a target. You should explore it. Why? because I'll tell you why I'm asking you to explore it. Because you know what? In a development environment, this all will run in a development environment. Okay, please remember this all is a development environment. From here, we'll start the production environment. So this which I'm teaching you, basically, if you think you're running the production, no, not at all. We use the production in a Kubernetes. What is a Kubernetes? We need to know. And 15 different tools will run on the Kubernetes, different tools which we need to learn. So that's what I said. The Pandora box will start only once you complete this training, because after this training you have to learn four. See, in this session I have already added 25 tools, but once you start working on the real time, you will have to work on 50 more tools actually. So that is the things which will get started. Okay, so now all of you are clear now, this whole whole relationship in the dev environment. Ashwarya, any questions? Ashwarya, you're not, you know, Ashwarya is not there. Oh, okay. Uh, Before any question, Venkatesh, Sandhya.
No,
No.
no.
So guys, I'll send you some project. What do you need to do? See, I'll not tell you run Docker command, because you'll never run if I ask you to run that Docker commands. You are going to you're going to solve the certain projects. Create an image for me. I'll send you some image. Create an image for me and share through the Docker Hub. And while creating an image, you will feel hundreds of problems. And that problem you're going to fix it one by one, and that is a real learning. That is your experience. And during that phase, you will try almost every commands and you will try to understand this. Okay. So try through this one, and then share that questions and troubleshooting in the WhatsApp group, and I'll keep helping you on this. So now next training, what will happen is Kubernetes, which I'll cover tomorrow. So I wanted to cover today part of it, but little bit of energy is less now. So Kubernetes I'll cover tomorrow, and tomorrow dedicated 3 sessions will happen on the Kubernetes, which is needed. So I must ask you all to attend this, and before that I must also insist to practice Docker, because Kubernetes you understand only if you are having the very good knowledge on this. At least this is good, but at least Docker.
Have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.